In the world of tarot, the star is number 17, the day of my birthday, and the numbers 1 plus 7 equal 8, the month of my birthday. And the card itself encompasses the world of healing. Our emotions, our bodies, the wholeness that can come after a dark time. There's no more fitting symbolism for a video where we are going to discuss one of the hardest things I have ever gone through in my life, which is my journey to getting diagnosed with Crohn's disease and encapsulating the year after. This has altered my life path, altered who I am as a person, predominantly in positive ways. Hello friends, welcome back to Cassie's World. My name is Cassie. I am 27 years old. I live in New York City and I make lifestyle vlogs here on YouTube. I also have Crohn's disease. The day I'm filming this, Thursday, September 25th, is exactly 1 month to the day. 1 year. 1 year to the day. That's literally the entire point of this video. So since I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, it was a long journey to get to a diagnosis, and this year since has taught me a lot about myself and my body. I am a sentimental gal, and as the 1 year anniversary of getting this diagnosis comes up, I can't help but reflect on how this has altered my life path, altered who I am as a person. Predominantly a year later, I can say in positive ways. Obviously, I would not ask for an autoimmune disease if I could do it again. I would not wish it on someone else. However, my philosophy of life very much follows not that everything happens for a reason, but that we can gather some wisdom or change or clarity from the situations that arise. Even if they don't feel positive, there's something to be learned. So today we're going to talk about my journey with Crohn's disease, what I've learned, what I haven't learned, how the diagnosis journey kind of happened for me, how I'm feeling. And this video is for anyone going through a crazy health journey, anybody who loves someone going through a crazy health journey, and even my future self, as a reminder of how badass I am for going through this and coming out the radiant woman I am today. Big disclaimer before we jump in, please do not give me any kind of medical advice, recommendation, ideas, anything to that sort. I am not making this for any kind of feedback on my health. That is not why I'm posting this on the internet, and I would ask that you refrain from offering advice to me. I also want to say, before we talk a lot about the physical impacts that having and getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease can have on a person, that the mental impacts are just as important and sometimes even greater. Therapy has been a part of my life since I moved to the city, and never has it been more beneficial than while I was going through this truly insane, hopeless, devastating part of my life, and the massive transition as it feels like I'm adjusted to a new body. The biggest thing my therapist and I talked about last year was the tool and term radical acceptance, and that is exactly what it sounds like. Accepting the things that come in our lives, good or bad, because that's all there is to do sometimes. When you are truly feeling devastated and hopeless, sometimes you just need to say, okay, this is my reality right now, and find a way to cope in the meantime. Therapy has also directed me to dozens of breathing tools, visualization tools, mental tools to cope with the present moment when the present moment isn't so fun. And I want to emphasize that it's important for you to take care of your mental health too, so I would love to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. As I'm sure you've heard, BetterHelp is an online therapy platform, but it genuinely makes therapy so much more accessible when you are literally in too much pain to leave your home. There are days where I couldn't leave my bed because I was in so much pain, and virtual therapy is an amazing resource for people like me who have an autoimmune disease that affects our daily functioning. You take a questionnaire and BetterHelp matches you with a therapist who is equipped to deal with your needs, concerns, and desires. And within a few days, you're immediately able to start scheduling appointments. There are worksheets. There are support groups, which I've attended since getting diagnosed with Crohn's disease and have been incredibly beneficial to me. There are classes to teach you therapy tools. It's truly an amazing and all-encompassing resource, especially when you're going through something that feels like it's taking over your entire life. My therapists have always helped me see the the bigger picture of life, I would not be where I am today, and I would not have continued on through the pain and suffering to find a diagnosis if not for the threat of therapy literally just reminding me how beautiful it is to be alive. So if you want to get started, BetterHelp and I would love to offer you 10% off your first month of therapy when you use my link betterhelp.com/cassieVlogs. Genuinely, you guys, therapy is so essential if you are physically suffering. The mind-body connection is truly insane. Though therapy can't heal your body, it will help you help yourself heal your body. It will give you the boost you need and the connection to life that you need to continue to seek answers for yourself. Therapy can be life-saving in so many ways, and for me, that was predominantly through a sense of hope. Let's talk about my physical health journey to getting diagnosed. I will also refer you here to a video that I made last year, which was my vlog of getting my colonoscopy right before I was diagnosed. I talk quite a bit in depth at the start of that video about the specific symptoms I was experiencing, how long they'd been happening. I'll give you a brief rundown here, but that is truly like I was in the moment, me now versus me in that video. If you watch it back, you can see how sick I look. It's kind of sad, but also really enlightening to see, and like I truly look like a healthier person, and it's not just the blush. It's my whole vitality. That'll be linked below. Definitely go and check that out. But to give you a somewhat summarized version in this moment in time, I don't have a crazy family history of Crohn's disease, first of all. My great-grandmother has it on my father's side. One of my dad's cousins has it. So it's like peripherally in my family. There was nothing growing up to make me really think about the fact that I could have Crohn's disease. The earliest symptoms that I now can tie to Crohn's disease are I started getting crazy back pain in high school. As far as I can remember, this wasn't really tied to any kind of bowel issues. It could have been, and I just didn't link it at the time. I also have always had a pretty sensitive immune system. I have gotten fevers a lot through my life that will just come on seemingly out of stress. I'm allergic to a couple different antibiotics, but it wasn't until I moved to New York City when I was 23 years old that I started to experience this back pain at a more intense and consistent rate than I'd ever experienced before. Beginning in high school, it was very come and go, so I kind of chalked it up to like, oh, I'm moving less or more. When I moved to New York City and I really started being on my feet all the time, it became an almost constant pain, becoming like back spasms that would truly rack my entire torso. My rib cage would feel tight, it would feel hard to breathe. Sometimes I would get like a sciatica type pain that would shoot down my legs. It was very painful, and since I've moved to the city, I have primarily worked barista jobs, which are incredibly physical jobs. You're on your feet all day, so you can only imagine how tough that was. Fast forward a few years, the pain is pretty consistent, but I'm still bearing through it because I'm adjusting to moving to New York City. There's a lot going on until the beginning of last year, 2024. I was 25 years old, and my boyfriend at the time was like, Cassie, you really need to go to physical therapy. Like, your body's in so much pain, you need to figure this out. I went to physical therapy, and sometimes it felt like it was getting better, but sometimes it didn't. Eventually, I got scans done. I had so many tests, you guys, last year, I cannot emphasize, but the beginning of it was trying to see if structurally I had scoliosis or something like that. I didn't. I was reasonably active at this point because I was a barista. I love doing yoga at home. I had kind of started dabbling in running, but my bodily pain just didn't really go away. Also, earlier on in the year, I got hemorrhoids, which was very painful and which continued on and didn't go away. I got eventually open sores on my labia, which was incredibly painful. I started getting sores in my mouth. I started getting strange skin, almost looked like bruises, but they were painful, and then they would give me antibiotics, and then I found another antibiotic I'm allergic to, and then they gave me a different antibiotic. I got a ton of blood work done that didn't really say anything was wrong with me. I got some food intolerance blood tests that didn't really say anything was wrong. So from about February, March of 2024 through August of 2024, I had about 6 months of pure sheer suffering. Bodily pain in every way. I remember around my 26th birthday, my knees got really swollen and they were super painful for no reason. Crazy inflammation in my entire body. And my thought process during this time was honestly majorly that it was my fault. I was like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not exercising enough. I'm not eating well enough. I'm not getting enough sleep. My anxiety is causing this. This is also where therapy really helped me be like, okay, let's focus on these core things so that we know this isn't what's wrong. There's something really wrong with my body. But I really felt crazy for over 6 months until I went back to my primary doctor in August. My hemorrhoids were still there among these other slew of symptoms, and she was like, okay, hemorrhoids still there after 6 months and you're in a lot of pain. Go to a colorectal doctor. So I went to a colorectal doctor. They took one touch of my body and they said, you need to see a gastroenterologist. This doctor specifically kept repeating, top affects the bottom, top affects the bottom, you need to see a gastroenterologist. And I was like, girl, what? So I made an appointment with a gastroenterologist she referred me to. I would also like to qualify for anyone trying to figure out anything health-wise, and on top of that, I'm in New York City. The wait time between all of this is immense. Like, this isn't like, oh, I need to make another appointment, I'll do it tomorrow. This is like, I'm scheduling an appointment and the next appointment isn't for another 2 weeks, and then I have to get a test and wait for the results. One time I literally had a lab test to get blood drawn, and I walked up there. I'd taken the day off work and the lab was closed when I arrived. They were like, sorry, our computers don't work. Find another appointment. I cried a lot. So this is a long and drawn out process of me like trying to figure out what's wrong, also spending a lot of money. Also, I was about to turn 26, so I was about to be off my parents' health insurance. Basically the worst time to go through something like this. But 2 weeks after my 26th birthday, at the end of August, I had my first appointment with a gastroenterologist. I walked in, I listed all my symptoms, and without doing any tests or anything, he said, you probably have Crohn's disease or something similar. And was I surprised at this point? Not completely, because I'd been doing a lot of research on my symptoms. I'd obviously gone to a colorectal doctor. Once I was referred to a gastroenterologist, I did a lot of research on what kind of things they would do. Crohn's disease popped up a lot in my Google searches. I would also recommend, I know this is the hardest thing, Googling as little as possible when you are going through a health thing. For me and my anxiety, it just made everything feel worse. So that was another thing my therapist and I realized really early on, was that I needed to get off of Google. This gastroenterologist took a bunch of blood and did a stool sample as like an initial round of testing. In this blood test, he discovered not only was I incredibly anemic, which explained why I was so fatigued. Fatigue was another symptom I forgot to mention. I literally just felt exhausted all the time, no matter how much sleep and rest I got. I was always exhausted and always in pain. Anemia is also linked to Crohn's disease because Crohn's disease can cause internal bleeding or just bleeding, external bleeding too. He also investigated my C-reactive protein levels, which I believe is an inflammation marker. I think the normal range is below 50 and mine was close to 200. A lot of inflammation going on. He was like, okay, something's wrong, which we already knew, but like this will confirm and allow us to do more tests. A few weeks later, on September 17th, got a colonoscopy. That's what I vlogged. You can see my process there. I know I said I was gonna make this part short, but I actually, the more I talk, the more I feel like it's kind of important. Had a colonoscopy. I got the little like picture slide when I left that day and sent a picture to my parents, and my mom said, yikes, doesn't look good. And I was like, yeah, Mom, doesn't look good. My doctor needed a week to review all of the information. The following week, I had an appointment with him, September 25th, 2024, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Mentally, I felt so good that day. It was such a validation for all this pain and suffering I had been experiencing, especially the last, I'm like gonna cry. Okay, especially the last 6 months, I had felt crazy. Like I said, I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like something was wrong with me, but not like a medical wrong with me, like I'm bad at caring for myself kind of wrong with me. Getting this information, even though it marked the beginning of an entirely new journey, was truly such a life-giving piece of information. I was ecstatic. I sent my family and friends voice messages right away on the street outside, walked to Whole Foods and bought myself a bar of chocolate and a sparkling water. I was like, okay, I have an answer now, and now I get to problem solve around an answer instead of shooting in the dark at medical randomness. The disconcerting thing that makes complete logical sense, but that you really don't maybe feel so viscerally until you're going through a health thing, is how much health science is just like the process of elimination. And yes, there are some things like the flu and COVID that you can take a test and immediately know that this is what's wrong with you. But for someone like me that was experiencing so many so many symptoms of pain and suffering. And for something like an autoimmune disease that affects everybody differently, it's just so much harder to come to the diagnosis point. But the immense gratitude and relief that I felt was massive. That was a huge turning point for me mentally, physically, and for the rest of my life. That was when new Cassie was born. So I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and now I've got to get on medication. My doctor wants me to get on Skyrizi. My insurance won't approve it. As I mentioned before, I had just turned 26 at this point, so it's literally the first month I'm on my new health insurance. It's not great health insurance, and my insurance won't approve Skyrizi because they want you to prove that 2 other medications didn't work first. I assume because it's expensive. Skyrizi is sort of like an infusion, from my understanding, that you get periodically, versus Humira, which is the next one we tried and what I eventually, and now to this day, am on, which is an injection. So the first dose is 2 shots, and then you give yourself a shot every other week. It looks just like an EpiPen. It's very easy to administer. You can administer it in your stomach or your thighs, but I just alternate between my legs, which is what my doctor told me to do. And it's an immunosuppressant. My understanding is that the autoimmune disease, Crohn's disease that I have, is my immune system on hyperdrive, really intensely, almost attacking itself. And this medication just tells my body, it's okay. You can chill a little bit, you can slow down, you can take a vacation. My body's like, whoa, it's nice not to be attacking myself. And it is. I feel great. So I got diagnosed on September 25th. By the time we worked out all the insurance stuff, I was on Humira by the end of October. I believe the 29th is when I got my first injections. It's been about 11 months since I've been on Humira. When I first started seeing my gastroenterologist at the end of August, he put me on budesonide as well as a few other steroid type medications that are just meant to decrease inflammation. So my understanding is that this is generally used as a temporary measure to bring down inflammation, and in this case he was like, I just want you to not be in so much pain while we are getting this diagnosis, because it's a process, it's not an immediate diagnosis. So for this 2 months where I was about to be on medication, I was taking like 7 pills a day. I was already feeling a little more energized, a little less in pain, swollen, inflamed. So once I got on Humira, that process just like continued and accelerated. By Thanksgiving, I felt pretty much like a normal girl. I had a normal Thanksgiving dinner, hung out with my friends all day, and I truly felt healed in a way I hadn't in possibly my entire life. I also want to include in here, on the off chance that your doctor has not told you, for anybody who is on Humira or may have to get on Humira in the future, there is this thing through the company that makes the drug, AbbVie, called the Humira Complete Savings Card. If you Google that, or if you Google just like Humira Assistance Program, it'll pop up. You literally just call the phone number. I don't even think I shared my insurance information. I think I literally was just like, hi, I'm a girl who has Crohn's disease. They give you a number that almost looks like an insurance or like a prescription bin number. And when you are ordering your Humira through your specialty pharmacy, you give them this number and it gives you, in my case, a $0 copay. Like I said, you take a shot every other week, so 2 doses a month on average. You order them in 2 doses at a time. The price for me before this complete savings card would be $90. So I would be spending $90 each time I ordered it. Let me quickly do the math, actually. I would be spending $2,340 a year on this medication. That's on top of already I pay $70 a week for my health insurance, and every time I go to the doctor I have an $80 copay. But this Humira assistance card makes it $0, so I literally do not pay for my prescription, and it saves me, as we just saw, $2,300 a year, which is insane. I don't know how common this is because this is the only like specialty type medication I've ever used. I could not believe that the company that is creating this drug is making it more accessible for the people who need it to literally maintain a livable quality of life. It's huge and amazing, and my doctor told me about it. Like, I was told about it through the people giving me the medication, but if your doctor hasn't mentioned this, go be saved. Okay, let's talk about my body. Let's talk about how my body's feeling. Let's talk about symptoms. Let's talk about the things that I expected and the things I maybe didn't expect. So overall, I feel great. I ran a half marathon this year. Don't get sick nearly as often as I used to. Energy levels are so much better. For a while, they thought that I would need iron infusions because I was so anemic, as I mentioned before. Humira alone has helped my body improve iron levels naturally. That, and I really prioritize eating protein a lot more than I used to. In July, I got the clear that I'm no longer anemic. My energy levels are so much better. No more hemorrhoids, no more labia sores, no more mouth sores. Sometimes my tummy hurts or I will really need to go to the bathroom suddenly. I do try and limit my dairy consumption and my coffee consumption. I drink matcha every day, but I find that coffee makes my anxiety worse and also just my system, it makes it a little more messed up. Everybody's body is so different and my body could change. Like there could be a time when I need to limit my dairy consumption more, I need to limit my caffeine consumption more, I need to limit some of my vegetable consumption. There's so many things like cruciferous vegetables you're supposed to limit when you have a bowel situation like mine. So I try to be mindful about that kind of thing, but in general, I treat my body like I am a regular person who just needs to be healthy. I try and prioritize sleep, I drink a lot of water, try and eat healthy, and for the most part, my body feels pretty normal. I still am a person with an autoimmune disease and I do notice myself getting tired at times when maybe my friends aren't getting tired or my social battery, emotional battery, physical battery just not extending as long as the people around me. Compared to me last year, I basically am a superhero. Things I did not expect in terms of having an autoimmune disease as well as being on immunosuppressants. When I first got on Humira last December, January, I went through a vicious cycle of yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis for like 3 months straight. I would take the diflucan and then it wouldn't help, and then I would take the antibiotic and it wouldn't help. Taking antibiotics is also not great for you in general, but especially when you have my situation. Ibuprofen you're not supposed to take. Just like any medication can really mess with your body, as with anybody, but especially when you have a delicate system. So that was very unfun, and that's definitely like a registered side effect of being on an immunosuppressant, is your body just is not able to fight things the way it used to. The multiple months of BV and yeast were not fun. Since February, I haven't had any issues. I do boric acid suppositories maybe every other week, just like as a maintenance thing. Figured that issue out. I also just generally feel like it takes me longer to recover from illness than it used to. The 2 times I did get sick in this last year, first of all, 2 is really a low number for me historically, but the 2 times I did get sick, rather than having kind of like a 48-hour I need to lay in bed and then I'm like kind of back to normal, it was more like a 4 or 5 day time period where I was really low energy and it just took my body longer to heal than usual. I got COVID this year as well, but weirdly COVID was the one thing that I really didn't hit me that hard. It was hitting people around me really hard, but I didn't even get a fever. I just kind of felt like I had a cold. That was weird and interesting. The one thing that I haven't figured out that I do not know is Crohn's disease related. At the beginning of June, kind of started experiencing some nerve pain, and the pain is gone now, but I still have like a slight tingling sensation in my pointer finger. It's been a while. I've got a doctor's appointment in a week or so. It's gonna be okay. Those are some just like weird random facts, but truly for the most part, I feel like I can do anything. I feel like a superhero, sometimes to my detriment because I am still a person who needs to rest and heal, and like any body, like I need to take care of myself. So I'm definitely learning and trying to implement pacing myself and just giving myself a lot of grace and making sure I'm prioritizing rest, even if I'm not physically feeling bad at the time, more as a preventative method, because I know that when I do get sick, it's gonna take me out longer and harder than it used to. I had my biannual checkup back in June with my gastroenterologist, and my blood levels look normal, regular, and good. Like I said, my anemia is healed. 1 year later, I'm literally a different person. Like, this has altered my life on a metaphysical, spiritual, emotional level. I just have to include that this experience changed the trajectory of my life, not just because I'm always gonna need to work a job with health insurance, I'm always gonna need to take care of my body in a different way than I ever did before. On this other level, plunging to depths of hopelessness like this and then emerging from it, you really see what can be possible. I, a year and a month ago today, did not believe that I would ever feel better. I didn't really believe that I would be in a healthy relationship again. I didn't really believe that I would find a better job. I kind of was thinking I would have to leave New York City and just like live with my parents and be sick for a while. But a year later, I'm in a very happy relationship with a man that has changed my life. I'm working a better job and I've moved apartments. I ran a half marathon this year. I have such an expanded patience and gratitude for life, and also just like a pure resilience. I'm able to tolerate the day-to-day misfortunes. Of course, like, I'm still a person, they still bother me. I do have a certain level of this like higher vision. Everything's okay. Like, your health is truly everything, and when you feel it degrade like I did last year and then you get it back, it's earth-shattering. I feel like I had a near-death experience and I'm still alive and I'm thriving. And I'm even cute. I'm sending you so much strength, whether you are going through a health something or not. Being a human is hard, and living life is hard, and just getting through every day, paying your bills, getting enough sleep. It's all hard. It all requires energy, time, and patience. And if your body feels like it's betraying you, it's even harder. So I'm sending you so much strength, joy, love. Please go do something that makes you happy every single day. That does not have to be something big. I have a Diet Coke in the fridge. That's about to be my something happy today. It could be reading a good book. It could be giving someone a hug. I also really have to say, before I end this video, thank you to my people, because they are the reason that I survived last year. I was on the phone with my mom every day. My friends were always there to lend an ear to my misfortunes and to my joys and my wins, and to celebrate and to cry with me. And the power of community, truly, you guys, like, that is why I'm alive. And it's amazing. I'm really, really blessed to have the life that I have. Like I said, I would never wish this experience on anyone, but I do feel like I have taken it and made myself a better version of myself because of it. It's shaped me, it's changed me, and I'm really proud of where I am today. I'm excited to see where else I can be in another year, and thank you for going along the journey with me. It's been a crazy one. I'm so happy to have you. You can do this. Lots of love always, and I'll see you again very soon, I promise.